Welcome to Here to Be Human, a multi-dimensional soul. This is not just a podcast, it's a remembering. A space where soul meets skin and the sacred meets the messy. Where spirit is not something you escape into, it's something you embody here in this beautiful, chaotic, breathtaking human life. Each episode is a living transmission, a weaving of energy, truth, reflection, and remembrance, with questions for your soul, messages from beyond, and invitations to meet yourself in ways you've never dared to before. Whether you're walking through shadow or starlight, you belong here. I am Julie, your guide, your mirror, your voice in the void. This is Here to Be Human, and you are right on time. What if healing isn't about fixing yourself? What if it's about remembering who you were before the world told you something was wrong with you? This is Here to Be Human, a multidimensional soul. And today's episode is called What If Nothing Is Wrong With You? Healing the Wound of Self-Fixation. So I'm going to invite you to this reflection prompt, as we always do. So I just want you to take a moment to pause, whether you need to close your eyes or just take a few deep breaths in and out. And ask yourself, where in your life have you believed you're too much or not enough? What if that belief isn't yours? And just allow yourself to soften into this moment. So where in your life have you believed you're too much or not enough? And what if that belief isn't yours? And just feel into anything and everything that is coming up for you. And of course, if you need a moment to pause and journal, then please do so. And so as we're now slowly going to move over to segment 1, which is the spiritual trap of constant fixing. And I think we've all been there. So spirituality can become a bit of a loop, a constant search for the next healing, the next modality, the next release, that next version of the self. And underneath that search is often a quiet ache. There's something wrong with me. If I could just heal that, I'd finally be okay. But what if that ache isn't truth? What if it's programming? Remember, you are not broken. You are in process. And process doesn't require fixing. It requires presence. So let's open up the space now to spirit. And I just want you to listen into the messages that come through. Either sit with it yourself and see what's coming through for you. And as I always preface, whatever is being channeled, just take what resonates at this moment in time. And you can always come back and see how these insights and guidance may be shifting the needle for you in the future. Okay. So our first question. Let me have a look. As you know, if you've been following my show for a little while now, I never know what questions are going to come up. It's all just being generated for me and then popped into my show notes, which I'm so excited about. Okay, so what do we need to remember about the difference between healing and being self-assured? That's interesting. So what do we need to remember about the difference between healing and being self-assured? So again, we're just going to check in with spirit to see what comes through. Healing is a forever process. There is no such thing as being fully healed from a situation, a trauma, or a belief system. Because as we're here to be human, we're always going to rise above past issues, past situations, past experiences that may create a level of trauma. And that doesn't mean that you can't heal necessarily from the past situation where that particular person that may have upset you no longer can upset you anymore. So you have learned how to deal with that situation based on that particular person. But as we're moving through this life, there's always going to be somebody else or something else that could trigger you or bring about a very similar state of being that might be causing you aspects that you feel, I need to fix this, or I need to heal this, or I need to move past this because this seems to be coming up for me over and over and over again. And this is why I feel like healing is always happening. And I think if we can reframe the mind to be like, once I do this, I am forever healed. Once I fix this, I am forever perfect. There's no such thing. And so it's really important to remember that healing is an ongoing process. And as human beings, we never really heal in its entirety, but we gain a level of self-assurance that when a particular situation or a very similar style of person comes into our life again, we can very much know that we are going to handle it differently. That doesn't mean that that situation won't cause us to reflect back on a past situation that it was very similar to what is just presenting to you at the moment. And that is that major difference between that healing and being self-assured and having confidence that when you step into a familiar situation, or even when you step into a situation that maybe you haven't dealt with before, but your body knows the cues on how to respond, or even you're connected to your body where you're listening to it. So you're more aware of like, oh, I feel like I'm going into a flight mode. Maybe I need to take a step back and be a little bit more reflective of what's actually in front of me and kind of tap into that inner wisdom to be able to deal with the situation at hand. And a lot of these times when we are faced with certain situations or experiences or even people that may be crossing our boundaries, making us feel like we're not enough or that we've done something wrong, even though we're very well aware that it's just them projecting onto us. It will be your level of confidence and this self-assurance that you have that will help you navigate that situation. And that is why the difference between healing and self-assurance is that we can build confidence and self-assurance and a level of wisdom through our experiences here as being human beings, but we are forever healing. And there's nothing wrong because you're not broken. You're just moving through life as we're meant to in this human experience. And I think if we can kind of understand that, even in its like infancy, without going into great detail, understanding that your experience here in this world is about it's experience, it's life lessons, it's healing through those situations, allowing it to make you stronger, better, more confident, more self-assured. And that is a difference between that healing and being self-assured. It's the healing is the process that gets you to being more confident in how to deal with another situation in the future. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, always just take what resonates for you. And the next question, what lies beneath the constant urge to fix ourselves? Interesting. Let's see what's coming through for that. I get like a really strong like society. So it's definitely coming from a place of learnt behaviors, structures that have been built up around us ever since we were young. But I also feel like it's the commercialized version of spirituality. And what I mean by that is because we've been told that our childhood was traumatic, this was traumatic, that is traumatic, you're broken here, you need to fix this, you need to learn your lesson, you need to da. It's always like you need to fix XYZ, or I don't like how you couldn't understand me, so you need to fix that about yourself. So I think it's this constant being bombarded with find the perfect version of yourself, try and be that better version of yourself. So whenever we hear that, whether it's on social media, whether it's from our family and friends, we're just constantly going to be like, well, there must be something wrong with me, so I need to fix that. And so that's why we have this urge to consistently search for the next modality, the next wonder drug out there that's going to help fix all our problems, right? So, and this is why I think there's this underlining current running through us whenever we allow the outside world to dictate what it is that we need to be working on. Okay. Hey, baby girl. Okay, Catherine, we'll pick up from there. Sorry, my dog had just started to come down the stairs. I apologize. And the last channeled message I'm thinking of doing is okay, so what does wholeness feel like in a world built on the illusion of lack? Ooh, interesting one. So, what does wholeness feel like in a world built on the illusion of lack? Good question. Um, I feel like it's more about contentment is what's coming through. And I think in a world where, like I was just saying before, we're bombarded with what is like classified as societal norms or what social media is saying or what the TV and the news and all that type of stuff is coming at us with. I think wholeness is really a level of feeling content and fulfilled in your life because you are already whole. And if we start to look at that there are missing parts of you and those missing parts are broken, or you need to get those missing parts fixed, or whatever the case may be, then you're naturally going to feel like you're lacking in something, that you don't have enough of something. And then you start to fill the void with either vices, whether that's, being around the wrong people from an energy perspective, you know, drinking too much or taking drugs or even filling your world with surface level connections. And so it's more about wholeness is actually contentment. So when you feel content and fulfilled, even if you don't have everything that you want, even if you have a vision board sitting in the corner and only one of those things is ticked off, that doesn't mean that you're not whole. That doesn't mean that you're lacking anything. It just means that you're on a search to manifest or create or have something in your world to kind of bring it into your space. That doesn't mean that you lack anything that you were born with, which was a heart that knows how to love unconditionally, period. And we are on this search, and our biggest lesson, and I've seen this over time and time again, working in this space, feeling into this, like ever since I was really young, our biggest lesson here is actually to feel and understand and act on unconditional love. And when you have that unconditional love, that doesn't mean that you won't get frustrated. It just means that you allow yourself to sit at a different frequency to understand all aspects of what is going on. And so this world is built on saying that unless you have all the pieces, and so think of it like, I don't know if you guys have used to play this game, Trivial Pursuit, back in my day, showing my age. And there was like, in order to win the game, and it was like a circle, and there was like, they're called pie, like pieces with a pie. And like you had to go around and answer all these questions. And if you filled your circle with all the colorful pies that you're meant to obtain, then you won the game. And that's kind of how society makes us feel, that unless all those pieces in our circle is filled with all those pies, then you are lacking something. But for you, if you can feel a level of contentment, gratitude, and fulfillment with where you are at now and what you have in your life now, it will allow you to remove that you are lacking something. That doesn't mean you can't go after things. That doesn't mean that it isn't that I want to obtain X, Y, Z. It just means that you're not lacking anything currently in your life, but you have momentum and drive and passion to continue to strive to bring in more into your world, whether that's knowledge, whether that's material possessions, whether that's the right friendship circle, whether it's the right partner into your life. That's what wholeness actually feels like. So the more you feel and tap into that gratitude, that contentment, that fulfillment with where you are at now, knowing that you don't have to be anywhere else, that will help you move away from the illusion of lack that this world has built upon us. So again, please take what resonates with all the messages that are coming through. And so now we're going to segue into segment 2. So this is the inherited wound of defectiveness. Big words. Here we go. So most people were taught subtly or loudly that they must earn love. Interesting, we're talking about unconditional love came through. To earn rest, to earn belonging, to earn peace. That's not healing. That's performance. Right? The belief that you're broken often isn't yours. It is inherited. And it can be inherited from our family dynamics, our school systems, religious shame, generational trauma, and also spiritual bypassing. But here's the truth. You were born whole before they named you incomplete, which is what I was saying before. You were born whole before they named you incomplete. So let's have a look at some of the insights that Spirit will bring through for us. So our first one is, what does the soul know about its own worth that the mind forgets? Ooh, what does the soul know about its own worth that the mind forgets? What does the soul know? That it's free to formulate its own ideas, that it's free to formulate its own felt experience as long as it allows the outside noise to be lowered so it can hear the inner calling, the inner voice that is pulsating within the body. It is time to come back to your own practices, whatever that means for you, in order to hear the voice of your soul. That is where your own worth can begin to rise up within you so that your conscious mind can connect with the experience, the frequency, the emotions, memories of past lives, this life, by allowing the soul to rise up, or the voice of your soul to be amplified through your own practices and through any teachings that you are consuming. This will help the mind begin to connect to the innate wisdom that is within you. Your soul knows everything. Your soul holds all the keys to every part of your journey, even the journeys that make no sense to the human mind. Where you've been in the parallel worlds, where you are going, your soul knows what your next incarnation will be. Now, I may not want to tell you it. It may want you to experience it. Chances are I will want to tell you, by the way. It'll give you insights and hints and things of that nature. But ultimately, it wants you to turn the volume up of your soul, of the inner voice within you, and lower the volume of your monkey mind that is just programmed by the outside world to fit in, to stay quiet, and to follow some elusive leader that we don't even know who that is. And this, it can even be in the physical world. We're just meant to follow someone or something. Let that go. Walk to the beat of your own drum by turning the volume up on your own soul. It will never lead you astray. Ooh, that was a big one. Okay. Our next question. I feel like I just need to pause then for a minute. Whew, okay. Now, our next question. How do we begin to unravel inherited shame and remember who we truly are? Holy moly. Okie dokie. So, how do we begin to unravel inherited shame? The first way to understand it is to actually recognize what it is that you feel shameful about. And is it something that a family member said, don't do that because that's shameful? Is it coming from a faith-based system that you were brought into? Or is it society's, social media and how we're meant to like behave or think or act, that type of stuff? So it's actually understanding what it is rather than throwing words out. So what action have you been inherently passed down to say, if you did this, this is shameful? And I think you're probably going to find shame is a huge word, and I feel like everyone feels shame because that's the first thing that we're taught. If you do that, that's bad. And so you're shamed publicly, or you're shamed by the person that maybe you respect who's telling you that was really bad, which most of the time starts with, parents or a mentor. And to unravel all of this, 100%, you have to figure out, well, what are the acts? And then remembering that you are not the act. You are not the thing that you did that someone said, oh, that's really bad. You should be ashamed of yourself. I think there needs to be a level of grace given to ourselves, that sometimes we do things, we say things out of impulse, out of old programming that we're trying to move away from, or just like how, our parents spoke to us or how a partner used to speak to us. That's all inherited shame. So inherited shame, you can have the best life growing up with your family and then get into a relationship, and it's that relationship that makes you feel shame. And so you're inheriting that shame from that person. So we unravel it by recognizing that it's there, understanding when someone brings it to our attention, how it makes us feel. So, very much like a talk therapy would be great to unravel some of this inherited shame. And it doesn't have to be through a therapist unless you want it to be. It can be through a trusted advisor or friend or family member that you can have these deep conversations with. It could even be like a partner if you and your partner are on this journey together to unravel that inherited shame. And by just acknowledging that it is there, you begin to see who you truly are. Because what ends up happening is you're like, well, that doesn't define me. That's just a moment in time, or that's a situation that happened, or that's something that I said, and, I'm remorseful about it. But I shouldn't be shamed about living my life and having experiences and undergoing lessons, because we are going to fuck up along the way. It's very normal. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing to be shameful about that. You may unintentionally say something that hurts someone's feelings. So, as long as nothing is done with malicious intent to really hurt and shame someone, and maybe you're feeling that's what someone did to you with malicious intent, this is where you start to look at it and be like, well, that's not my story. And by acknowledging it, knowing where it's come from, knowing how it's showing up for you, and recognizing that that's not who you are. That's just something that has occurred, or a moment in time that someone made you feel by, you know, putting the spoons or the forks in the drawer in a particular way that to them was all like, the world was crumbling down. And so, and they made you feel like you were an idiot for doing that, which then brings about shame. So, inherited shame doesn't always have to be from our parents. It's when we are consistently made to feel like we're doing something wrong in a relationship of some nature. Could be like a boss, family, friends, partner. And you can inherit this shame even when you're older. It doesn't always have to come from our early years. And so when we break it down and put it through like just a systematic process, so we don't give it an emotion, we just say, this is what happened. And that's not who I am. Just because that person projects that onto me, just because I wanted to do X, Y, Z, I'm not shameful about that. And by allowing yourself to, again, put it more into a systematical process and take the emotion out of it, take the energy that it used to hold in your life, you begin to remember who you actually are. You start to say, that's not who I am. That's a moment in time. That's a situation. That's something that they have placed on me because that's something that they believe to be true, but it's not my belief. And so sometimes we just need to take a step back, and put things out in a process and remove the emotion that's connected to it. And that will always guide you back to understanding that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. And even if you did something, if you've learned from the situation and you look at things differently, there should be no shame in what it was that you did. Again, as long as it was never coming from a malicious intent. And if it was, and you've grown and you've evolved and you're on your path, chances are you're removing the shame from that and understanding that that was just a version of you, but you've evolved from that version. So I'm going to invite you now for another reflection prompt. So again, feel free to close your eyes or journal if you'd like. And the prompt is here. What parts of yourself have you been trying to improve so others will love or accept you? What parts of yourself have you been trying to improve, quotation marks here, so others will love or accept you? And again, you can come back to this prompt at any point. as we now begin to move into segment 3, which is healing is remembering, not repairing. So, healing isn't about turning yourself into someone new. It's about coming back to the truth that's already there. When we stop trying to fix ourselves, we make space to listen, to soften, to inhabit our own soul. You are not a problem to solve. You are a mystery to walk with. And everything in you has a reason for being. And we're just going to drop in now and see what else needs to be said here before we move into our integration and ritual. So again, connecting with spirit. Our last question to spirit is, what parts of us are most sacred when we stop trying to change them? Ooh. What parts of us are most sacred when we stop trying to change them? It is how the soul moves through all of your chakra system, how it is able to bring in wisdom and guidance and a frequency into all the parts of your being. So if we take the heart chakra, for example, the soul ignites the heart. And as it does so, it allows you to feel a sense of warmth, encouragement, achievement, overwhelming emotion of joy and happiness. But it also allows us to feel the grief, the sadness, missing out on something that we really wanted. And these are the parts that are most sacred to us. And as the soul moves through all your chakra systems, so the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, it connects you with Mother Earth and it connects you with the universe. And so all of our experiences, all of our felt experiences are sacred. And we need to stop trying to change them. And we need to embrace our experiences. And through this embracing the experience, acknowledging how it does make you feel, how it makes you think, how it makes you act. These are all the parts that bring you into alignment, that allow you to see where there may be a blind spot for you, so that you can bring it into your full vision. And by embracing all the parts of you, this is what is most sacred. So stop trying to change who you are and focus more on your journey at hand, each day at a time, how every experience and situation is molding you. We may not like it in the moment, but as long as you're not trying to fix yourself, and especially this is not about fixing another, it's sitting in that space and it's embracing all the parts of us. And the chakra system is one of the best ways to connect and align with the soul, because it's able to give you context about all the spiritual and physical aspects that may be moving through you at any given moment. So this is not about changing. This is about embracing and being present when things are unfolding. So remember, you don't need to be healed to be worthy of peace. You don't need to be perfect to be a vessel of light. Let this land in your bones. So now we're going to move into the integration ritual. This is, I release the need to fix myself. So this is about letting go of that self-fixation loop. So again, find a nice quiet space. You can close your eyes or keep them open. And place both hands on your belly. And let your breath rise and fall. And you can say aloud or whisper if needed. I release the belief that I must be fixed. I honor my process. I was not born broken. I give myself permission to rest in who I already am. Wholeness is my nature, not my reward. Let the breath return. Let it feel enough. And I invite you now to sit with this reflective prompt for you. If I stopped trying to fix myself today, what would I feel? What would I hear? And just allow yourself to trust in the stillness. You were never broken. You are not a mistake. You are not behind. You are here. And here is sacred. In our next episode, we're going to go into grief, loss, and the love that remains. We're taking a multidimensional view on death. So until then, be gentle, be enough, and stop trying to fix what was never broken. Thank you for being here fully. If today's episode stirred something in you, if you have a follow-up question, a reflection you'd like to share, or a way this conversation aligned with where you are right now, I'd love to hear from you. And if there are specific questions you'd like me to ask Spirit in future episodes based on what's coming up for you, send me a direct message at here.to.be.human.podcast on the Instagram page. Remember, your voice, your questions, your presence, they're part of this journey too. And if you'd like to connect with me more deeply, you'll find everything, sessions, programs, and updates over at www.moderndayMedium.com.au or on my Instagram page, which is at modern.day.medium. This is your invitation. This is the return. And this is what it means to be human. So until next time, stay with yourself, stay with your soul, and keep choosing this sacred, messy, and miraculous life.